News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Good afternoon. It's now 4:05 at News Talk KVNU, and I'm Will Theoright with your local headlines. Well, police say they have identified a 71-year-old man who was found dead on his front porch over the weekend in West Point. Now, the Davis County Sheriff's Office said that deputies responded to a home near 2000 West, 200 North at around 6:30 Saturday night following reports of gunshots in the area. Now, upon arrival, emergency responders say they discovered the body of James Whitten on the porch. Now, while officials have not released the exact cause of death, they are officially treating the incident as a homicide. Now, no suspects have been identified, but investigators are asking for the public's help locating a maroon Honda Civic with an orange license plate cover that was seen driving away from the area at the time the shooting occurred. In other news, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services has issued an emergency order against Provo Canyon School following a violent assault between two clients. Now, according to state officials, the altercation left one client unconscious and bleeding from the mouth. Now, the state's notice reveals that school staff failed to call 911, choosing instead to transport the injured client to the emergency room themselves. Now, the decision caused roughly an hour delay in medical treatment. Now, the victim was later transferred to another hospital to be treated for a jaw injury and a brain bleed. Now, citing immediate safety concerns for the remaining youth, the state has now placed strict conditions on the school's license through June 18th. Now, Provo Canyon School is banned from admitting new clients and must immediately retrain staff on emergency procedures. And finally, Utah's signature wobbly dessert is getting a cleaner recipe. Kraft Heinz has unveiled that Jell-O Simply is a new line of the beloved gelatin that is free from synthetic dyes and artificial ingredients. Now, the ready-to-eat treats are made with real fruit juice and contain 25% less sugar than traditional offerings. Now, right now available in orange, blueberry, and raspberry lemonade, the new line uses natural sources like fruit and vegetable juices to achieve Jell-O's classic vibrant colors. Now, a line of naturally flavored instant pudding mixes reportedly will be launched nationwide coming up in August. Now, the modernization of the 125-year-old brand hits especially close to home in the Beehive State, as Jell-O has been named Utah's official state snack since 2001. We love our Jell-O here in Utah, don't we? Well, weather-wise, going to enjoy some sunshine and love a lot of these warm temperatures over the next couple of days, as we're going to be right around 76 for our high today. Tonight we'll drop into the mid to low 40s, and then tomorrow be into the low 80s, and it's going to continue to just warm up through the rest of the week. Mid 80s coming for Wednesday, and by Saturday we're going to be back into the low 90s. It doesn't look like we're going to see any change in the forecast really until possibly Sunday, when we may see a chance of some storm activity. And bringing you our weather here at the top of the hour is Valley Recycling. As you clean up around your home, take in those recyclables to Valley Recycling. They'll give you cash on the spot at 145 North, 10th West in Logan. It's Valley Recycling. And I'm Will Theoright for KVNU News.
Did you know you can cut your Rocky Mountain power bill by 40 to 50% without a single solar panel? With the new time of use rates, power is 4.5 times more expensive in the evening, but cheap during the day. At Greenbox Solar, we install smart home batteries that charge up when electricity is cheap, then power your home during peak hours. Solar is totally optional and can be added in the future, but savings are guaranteed. Drop by Greenbox Solar's showroom in South Logan to see the hardware for yourself. Visit our website at poweredbygreenbox.com.
Taking news to an all-new level. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
I'm Larry Gelwigs, the Getaway Guru. Morris Columbus Travel and Delta Vacations have partnered to give you the best sun and fun deals on the planet. Experience the local attractions of Mexico or just soak up the sun by the pool. After all, sometimes the best vacation is having nothing to do and all day to do it. Give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
Tuesday edition, Clay and Buck. It is primary day in California. Big decisions for Los Angeles mayor voters. top 2 in L.A. and California will advance regardless of party. We will break it all down for you. Andrew Giuliani in charge of running the World Cup in the United States. He will be with us as well. All that and more. Tuesday edition. You won't want to miss it on Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM. KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Monday, June 1st. I'm Jason Williams. Thank you for tuning in. And we have a lot to get to today. Not only was it a pretty big weekend news week, but so far, but it also has been a pretty eventful Monday morning here in Utah, especially regarding the proposed AI data center in Box Elder County. Let's just call this, for the sake of me, keeping it easy, let's just call it Mr. Wonderful's Data Center. All right. So when I say Mr. Wonderful's Data Center here on KVNU's For the People, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that data center. No, I'm kidding. This has been, understandably, a story that is just kept. I thought it would kind of fade by now. I thought people would get a little sick of it, maybe move on to something else. But it seems that something new comes out every week and brings it back into the headlines. And this week, no exception. In fact, what brought it back into the headlines is a big enough story that we do have new statements from Box Elder County officials regarding the developments. And so what were those developments? First up, so for those who haven't followed the story extremely close, you know that this proposed development, this 40,000 acres, multiple buildings, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, billionaire backed through his O'Leary Digital company, proposed AI data center in Box Elder County that's been at the center of all this, was originally approved and it looks now kind of fast-tracked without, I think everyone can agree, an appropriate level of transparency for the public by MEDA, Utah's Military Industrial Development Authority, which has led to I think we should be having a conversation now about whether this board should exist, or if it does, maybe putting some guardrails on it, because I am surprised that a state board, having served on a state board, usually state boards have very little authority. This board appears to be able to approve and fast-track gigantic projects with very, very cushy tax breaks for the developers without a single meeting with the public or with lawmakers, even though a couple of lawmakers serve on the board. There apparently is no requirement for them to do any of this. The very basic things that would be done with any other large development proposal are not necessary if this Military Installation Development Authority is involved and heading up the project, working directly with the developers proposing the project. So I don't know if it should exist, and if it's going to exist, it definitely needs some stricter guardrails on it, at least as far as public transparency and buy-in, getting the public involved in the process early. That said, it does exist, and it is currently chaired by none other than Utah State Senate President Stuart Adams, who is a Republican state senator from the Layton area. And so he's been pretty mum about all this. Governor Cox has said he understands the public pushback. He agrees that the process has not been transparent enough, and that's led to a lot of suspicion and even conspiracy theories. The governor has issued executive orders saying moving ahead there will be these, basic levels of expected transparency and weighing of the project against water quality, air quality, environmental concerns, things like that. That was over the last Friday. Governor Cox issued those executive orders, which basically just echo existing state law on large developments proposed. But the governor's executive order directs state agencies to really focus on that when it comes to a large AI data center. And also through executive order allows them to start that process now as opposed to waiting until certain other triggers come up during the regular process. So the state legislature at large has been kind of mixed. The House Speaker, Mike Schultz, came out. Now they're kind of on pause for the time being, though the group has told me they plan to appeal. But the BEAR, B-E-A-R organization, a bunch of residents in Box Elder County, filled out applications to start a referenda to overturn the county commissioner's vote to move ahead on this project. They voted on May 4th. They had until last week to have their applications reviewed. Both applications were denied because the referendum process applies to new laws. These weren't new laws. These were administrative decisions. The BEAR group has said that they plan to appeal that decision, and they're in the process of doing that right now. But for the time being, at least, no signature gathering happening to overturn the county commission's vote on May 4th. So the project is moving ahead, but as Governor Cox has reminded, that doesn't mean anything's happening. We're years out from a single shovelful of dirt being overturned to begin construction on anything out there in Box Elder County where the proposed data center would go. But the processes of acquiring, legally through the legal process, acquiring water rights, getting the land, whether these really cushy tax deals that META offered to Kevin O'Leary, who doesn't need the money. That all has to be reviewed still. Of course, environmental assessment would have to happen. That usually takes about a year, and it hasn't even begun. So we're a long way from anything. But this was moving so quick that I think everyone's feeling, elected officials in an election year are feeling a little pressure to weigh in. And surprisingly, and I would say this ties directly to it being an election year, and he is up for re-election, Utah Senate President Stuart Adams today in a statement asking for now he hasn't said much to date. House Speaker Mike Schultz has endorsed it's on pause now, but he previous to that news had endorsed the referendum in Box Elder County, saying he supports the public trying to overturn the vote of the commission because there is so much public concern about this. And today, Utah Senate President Stuart Adams is actually asking for a 75% land reduction in the size of the project. Box Elder County Data Center project proposal would use about 40,000 acres. And Senate President Stuart Adams, who is the chair of the board who approved the 40,000 acre plan in the first place. So this is a total reversal and change of heart on his part. I would guess, again, because it's an election year and the public pushback has been more sustained than I think any elected official involved here expected. So the chair of the Military Installation Development Authority himself, the guy who heads up the board that had been running this whole show to date on this proposed data center project, has changed his mind and now wants Kevin O'Leary to reduce the scale by 75% from 40,000 acres to 10,000 acres. Now, this was just a letter from Senate President Stuart Adams to Mr. Wonderful and O'Leary Digital, his company. It was then published by the Senate President's team publicly. And as the Deseret News points out, it holds no legal weight. But Adams told the Deseret News in an interview this morning that he hopes it reaches O'Leary with some credibility since he's the chair of the META board. He said, I would think a responsible person would respond to the letter and do the right thing. O'Leary, Deseret News reminds, back in April, had met with Stuart Adams and Utah Governor Spencer Cox about the project. In fact, news over the weekend that Governor Cox likely knew about this for the last few months. And so a lot of people now saying, they're kind of take with a grain of salt his recent statements that it's unfortunate the process hadn't been more transparent, because his office knew about it since February. Adams told the Deseret News, if we can use this opportunity to take the water that doesn't flow to the Great Salt Lake and actually move it to the Great Salt Lake, that's a big win. All of this, again, coming after he oversaw the entire project as head of the META board throughout. So he's seen the light, I guess is what he's saying here. But there were 6 demands in the Senate President's letter today. Reduce the size from 40,000 acres to 10,000 acres to limit impacts on the environment in Box Elder County, air quality, land, heat, island possibilities, things like that can drive storms away. Commit to using water-efficient technology and only the water reasonably necessary. That was a demand in the Senate President's letter to O'Leary. Enter a memorandum of understanding with Utah's Department of Natural Resources to disclose how the land will be land within the reduced project will be preserved and protected for wildlife. Use heat capture technologies and provide independent scientific and engineering analysis for the possibility of a heat dome over the data center. Again, the heat dome is a high-pressure, low-pressure interaction that can actually serve as a bubble to drive storms around it. So storms head further north or further south instead of coming through Box Elder County. If they come in from the west, that's a concern. And so use heat capture technologies. Another demand in the Senate President's letter, create a transparent public-facing website that shows all approvals, including water and air quality permits, which is ironic, again, because META could have done that from the start, and Adams is the chair of the board. But he's seen the light now, so we should be happy. Senate President Stuart Adams' final demand for Kevin O'Leary and O'Leary Digital on the proposed AI data center project in Box Elder County: work with state officials and federal agencies. The project should meet or exceed all environmental performance requirements, which is just state law. So it seems silly to even include that in the letter, but it's an election year, and the public pushback on this has been way more sustained and aggressive than I even expected it to be. So we'll see where it goes. But that's the latest news. In response to all of this, Box Elder County released some statements in response to both the governor's executive orders last Friday and the letter announced today by Stuart Adams, from Stuart Adams to Kevin O'Leary, making these demands. Box Elder County responded, and we'll get to their response right after this.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com. That's AdamsWealthAdvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. How to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
I am one of over 40 million Americans with migraine. A migraine is not just a headache. A migraine attack can last for hours or even days, often with sensitivity to lights and sounds or nausea and vomiting. Thankfully, there is help for migraine. Learn more at headachemigraine.org. Now is the perfect time to find out if what you have may be migraine. Visit headachemigraine.org. sponsored by the Coalition for Headache and Migraine Patients.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
It's Brady.
Yeah, good morning, Chief George. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. I wondered if you'd like free lunch this morning.
Oh, that would be awesome.
We had received a nomination from a citizen here locally who told us about how you were one of the kindest, most hardworking people that they knew. And so we've got a $40 gift card for you to Firehouse Subs for being a hero in our community.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The Above and Beyond Salute on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I don't know if he's listening, but shout out to JD. Glad you're having a better day than morning, from what I hear at least. This is a big news weekend and a big news day. So we've got more on the AI data center to talk about. First up, in response to the executive order issued by Governor Cox last Friday, which again just basically reiterated state law, but instructed state agencies to kind of take state law above and beyond regarding transparency, environmental concerns, and more. Those were issued by Governor Cox last Friday. And go read them because I'm sort of doing a real oversimplification of what the governor said in the executive orders, and I don't want to trivialize it. It is a big deal, and we should be happy, not cynical, when our political leaders respond to public pushback, and that's what the governor's doing here. That said, I am a bit cynical about the Senate president's letter announced by the Senate president today that he sent to Kevin O'Leary, demanding he scale it back by 75% in acreage from 40,000 acres to 10, etc. Adams sits as the chair of the board that was fast-tracking this. He knew about it the entire time. He knew every detail, and he knew it wasn't being done in a transparent way. But it is a re-election year, and he's feeling some pressure because, again, the public pushback on this has been a lot more sustained along the Wasatch Front, not just in Box Elder, than I even expected. So with those two events in mind, Box Elder County officials released a statement this morning in response to both the Senate president's letter and the governor's executive orders announced last Friday. And basically what they're saying is that, so they say that Box Elder County is aware of the governor's executive order establishing a statewide data center framework for this to move ahead. And Box Elder County is aware of the June 1st statement from Utah Senate President J. Stewart Adams regarding the proposed project area size and his, again, request that it be reduced by 75%. In their statement, Box Elder County says it is important to clarify the Box Elder County has not approved, permitted, or authorized the construction of a data center. The county's prior actions, May 4th, that vote specifically, what they're referencing here, related to the Stratus project, were limited to consenting to the inclusion of certain land in the MIDA project area and entering into an interlocal agreement intended to establish local protections and a process for future reviews. Box Elder County supports transparent public engagement and will continue to share updates as information becomes available. But this line really stood out to me because the Stratus project is being overseen by MEDA and the private developer. Again, the board that Senate President Stewart Adams, who wrote that letter this morning, chaired as it moved forward at 40,000 acres. It remains, Box Elder County said, subject to applicable state review, permitting, and regulatory processes. Questions about the executive order, questions about the Senate president's letter should be directed to the governor and the Senate president. Box Elder will continue to share official project-related updates on the county's Stratus project website, which is, if you want to see that, that's boxeldercountyut.gov, the county's website, boxeldercountyut.gov/Stratus project. So the county statement, again, basically saying, yes, we're aware of all of these state-level statements and letters and executive orders and all this stuff, but Box Elder County has not agreed to build a data center yet. Clarifying that, again, these were, as the county attorney ruled when throwing out the applications for the referendum last week, this was an administrative decision, not an official ordinance or law that was made on May 4th. So the county is basically saying, look, the county has not approved, permitted, or authorized the construction of a data center in Box Elder County. And I'm going to interpret it a bit. This, to me, sounds like the county saying to the governor and the Senate president, it's great you've seen the light, and you're now all for transparency and slowing this down and thinking it through, when previously, at least for Senate President Stuart Adams, you were all about, as chair of the MITA board, greasing the wheels and rushing it through and letting the county know last minute. This, to me, is the county saying, it's great you've all seen the light. It's great you all believe in transparency and going about this in a more careful and transparent and respectful to the public process. But Box Elder County was brought into this late in the game and has yet to authorize construction. And everyone seems to be forgetting that. That's how I read this statement from Box Elder County. Not as, poking the governor in the eye or the Senate president in the eye, but basically saying, let's not forget this. The county has not authorized the construction to move ahead. They have not approved, permitted, or authorized the construction of a data center. In the statement regarding President Adams' letter released this morning, where he asks Kevin O'Leary to reduce the size of the project that he previously signed off on as chair of the media board months ago and didn't bother to tell anybody, even county commissioners in Box Elder, about it, apparently. Senate President Stuart Adams' statement, Box Elder County responds, Box Elder County's prior actions related to the Stratus project were based on information provided by META and the developer. So, again, that's the county saying, look, Stuart, you oversaw this whole thing as chair of the board. Box Elder County, with the information your board provided us and the developer provided us, has not yet approved, permitted, or authorized the construction of a data center. So, letters demanding reduction in size, executive orders instructing state agencies to prioritize environmental concerns and water concerns as the project moves ahead. Good stuff. Great. Hope it's making everybody feel better. The county, I read these statements to stay, is still trying to catch up because they were brought in so late. And that is 100% on the shoulders of Senate President Stuart Adams as chair of the board, the META board. Again, I'm putting a lot of words in Box Elder County's mouth here, but that's how I read this statement, as the county saying, great, everyone has discovered transparency and a credible process again. But because that wasn't happening, and even the county commissioners felt a bit blindsided by this in April, the county is still trying to figure out exactly what's being proposed and where they're at on it. And they want to involve the public. So write all the letters you want, issue all the executive orders you want. The county will have final say on this. And the county, my words, not Box Elder County officials, the county has been disrespected through this entire process until there was public pushback. Now everyone wants to remember transparency. That's how I read these two statements from Box Elder County, and I have never been more proud of Box Elder County in my life. Again, this is not a dig at the governor, who I think okay, here's what I think happened. I didn't think they'd think this would be controversial. I think when they announced that it could potentially be 2,000 permanent jobs, which I still think is we should be critical of that and do some inspection before we accept that, because no other data center has held on to that many permanent jobs. So I think they thought it would just sail through. People would be so excited about that many new jobs in Box Elder County. All the elected officials would rally behind it. I think that's what Stuart Adams and the MITA board and the developer here, Mr. O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, thought would happen. When it didn't go that way, suddenly they realize, oh, we're in a spot now. And even the county commissioners are criticizing us for not including them in the process until it had already been going on for 3 months. Again, they met with the governor and the Senate president in January or February. And county commissioners weren't really alerted to any of this until April. Not how this stuff should work. So again, question remains, should the MIDA board even exist? And if it does, can we put some guardrails on it and Stuart Adams himself to make sure this kind of process never happens this way again? That's where I'm at on all this. And again, never been so proud of Box Elder County. Lynette and the public information team there doing a bang-up job. But again, these statements put out today after the governor issued the executive orders Friday and the Senate President, Stuart Adams, issuing a letter today to Kevin O'Leary asking him to reduce the size of the project by 75%. All obviously a response to public pushback being more sustained than anyone thought it would be. And maybe too little too late. Box Elder County saying, just repeating themselves here. Hey, you barely brought us into this process just over a month ago. We're still catching up. And Box Elder County has not approved, permitted, or authorized the construction of a data center. So your letter's great. Your executive orders are great. This is all good stuff. You still have a lot of work to do to make things right. And that's exactly what the county should be saying. So hats off. If you'd like to see the statement, I've posted a screenshot of the statement sent out via email this morning on our Facebook page. And we'll be back with more of For the People on the other side of these headlines with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Facing intense public blowback, the head of Utah's Military Installation Development Authority is now demanding sweeping changes to a controversial data center project in Box Elder County. Senate President J. Stuart Adams, who serves as chair of MIDA, sent a formal letter to celebrity investor Kevin O'Leary over the weekend calling for the Stratus project's footprint to shrink by 75% from 40,000 acres to 10,000 acres. Now, beyond the drastic size reduction, Adams is demanding that the developer dedicate any excess water to the Great Salt Lake at their own expense. Now, he's also called for the implementation of heat capture technologies, the preservation of local wildlife and agricultural lands, and the creation of a public-facing website to ensure transparency. Now, the demand comes as Adams navigates a competitive primary election and MIDA is facing mounting legislative scrutiny. Now, some state lawmakers are reportedly drafting bills to try to rein in the authority power right now following the rapid controversial approval of the 9-gigawatt data center. Meanwhile, family and community members gathered at Fitz Park in South Salt Lake on Friday for a candlelight vigil marking 1 year since a 16-year-old girl went missing from Bear Lake. Kylie Arellano was last seen on May 29th of 2025 in Garden City. Now, her mother, Stephanie Coleman, believes that Kylie was coerced away from home, noting that an unknown person had been sending the teen money by PayPal prior to her disappearance. Now, while a few reported sightings have turned out to be unfounded, the family is continuing to ask for the public's help. They're advising anyone who sees Kylie to take a photo or video and note the exact location they think they see the girl. Now, the family also used the vigil on Friday to raise awareness and funds for legal and recovery costs, vowing that they will never stop searching for the missing girl. And finally, a Salt Lake City hypnotherapist is now facing felony sex crime charges for allegedly assaulting clients over a 10-year period. Prosecutors charged William Del Draney on Friday with 9 counts of forcible sodomy and 11 counts of forcible sex abuse. Now, the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office says the allegations date back to 2016. Officials say that Draney had induced clients to remove their clothing before sexually assaulting them under the guise of therapeutic treatment. Now, charging documents allege that Draney manipulated victims with extreme threats, telling one client that he would develop cancer and die if he did not submit to Draney's wishes. Now, District Attorney Sim Gill said that Draney had preyed on the vulnerable people who trusted him. Gill is urging any other potential victims of sexual assault to immediately report the crimes to local law enforcement. Well, we've enjoyed sunshine this afternoon as temperatures have been around 76 for our high today. Tonight will drop to around the mid-40s overnight as we'll continue to see mostly clear skies this evening with more sunshine coming for Tuesday as temperatures tomorrow will be right around 82 for our high. Then we'll get into the mid-80s beginning on Wednesday, 90s possibly coming on Saturday before we'll see a chance of some showers on Sunday. And weather this hour brought to you by Logan Extermination. You feeling the heat already? Well, so is your lawn, and that's why Logan Extermination's Summer Back to Green treatment helps your grass bounce back from the summer stress. You can call them today at 752-8450, or they're also online at loganextermination.com. It's Logan Extermination, and I'm Will Theorite with your KVNU Monday headlines.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump telling ABC's Jonathan Karl he agrees with the Justice Department's decision to abide by a Virginia judge's ruling to temporarily freeze the $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. Democrats have also introduced a bill to try to ban the fund from using taxpayer money after the president agreed to drop his case against the IRS. ABC's Alex Mallon has more on the original case.
A judge down in Florida who actually was the one overseeing President Trump's case against the IRS. That judge now, after a bipartisan group of judges submitted a filing asking her to reopen the case, she did say now she's ordering the administration by June 12th to provide answers on whether they committed a, quote, fraud on her court.
Demonstrators taking to the streets in central Kenya protesting plans to establish a U.S. Ebola quarantine facility at a nearby military base, arguing it could raise the risk for local residents. Health officials say there are no suspected cases of Ebola outside Central Africa. This is ABC News.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
This is Scott Levitt with Adams Wealth Advisors. Starting both the week and the month, we experienced yet another roller coaster day driven by geopolitical developments. Israeli strikes on Lebanon resulted in Iranian officials pausing ongoing negotiations with the United States. The stock market was generally supported by the technology sector due to the continued optimism surrounding AI, although that strength was not shared across all sectors. The bond market also weakened earlier in the day. Nevertheless, as markets approached the close, the U.S. president stated that talks with Iran were still ongoing, and Israel and Hezbollah agreed to halt attacks against each other in Lebanon. Stocks subsequently moved higher, with many indexes erasing earlier losses. The Dow Jones Industrial Average remained largely flat at 51,079. The Nasdaq rose 0.6% to 30,514, while the S&P 500 gained 0.26% to 7,600. The technology sector, which represents more than one-third of the S&P 500, gained nearly 2.5% after NVIDIA unveiled a highly efficient new processor designed to bring advanced AI agents directly to personal computers. This announcement sparked another wave of gains among chip makers and computer manufacturers. As we potentially enter the era of edge computing, cloud providers posted losses. The energy sector also advanced on significantly higher oil prices. Interest rates remained nearly unchanged, with the 5-year Treasury yield at 4.16% and the 10-year Treasury yield at 4.45%, despite volatility throughout the day. Economic data released today were overwhelmingly positive, with both construction and manufacturing activity rising more than expected. A job openings report will be released tomorrow to provide further insight into the state of the labor market. Adams Wealth Advisors will continue to provide updates.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
Got a junk vehicle just sitting there? It's worth money right now. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan is paying top dollar for junk cars, trucks, farm rigs, and scrap metal, and they'll even come pick it up. DD Auto and Salvage handles any kind of metal recycling. Junk cars, scrap, large cleanups, you name it. With tow trucks, roll-off bins, and heavy equipment, no job is too big. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204. DD Auto and Salvage, turning junk into serious cash.
If your dryer vent sounds more like a birdhouse than an appliance, you've got a problem and some unexpected tenants. John at the Duct Hunter says birds, critters, and lint gunk can block airflow, roast your dryer motor, and start turning laundry day into a hot mess. Don't let your vent become a wildlife resort. Call the Duct Hunter at 435-770-4813 and send those freeloaders packing. Gently. We'll clear the way so your dryer can breathe easy again. Laundry's tough enough without the bird drama.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Again, a big weekend and a big Monday for AI data center headlines. I feel that just as it starts to die back a little bit and people get a little bored and move on to a different story, there's a new story that brings it back into the spotlight. And this weekend, well, really starting Friday with the governor's executive orders, and then wrapping up this morning with Senate President's, I would say, kind of desperate election year letter. Not that it isn't credible. I think he means it. I just think the timing. He served as chair of the board throughout all this, and now suddenly today he it should be 75% smaller. Well, I mean, you signed off on 40,000 acres for 3 months as chair of the board. Now that the public is pushing back, now all of a sudden it should only be 10,000. Why didn't you suggest 10,000 in the first place? It's a legitimate skepticism that I'm holding on to regarding the Senate President's letter today. That said, this is all good stuff, and we should be, whether you find the timing of it credible or not, we should be glad it's moving in the direction it does. As I've said many times, I'm data center agnostic. I don't think we should ban them. Some have suggested that. I don't think we necessarily have the evidence that we need to be building them as fast as we have been. In fact, in some states, a study today showed that some states have been building data centers more than they have been investing in public transportation. And I think we might regret that, because I don't think anyone at this point can say for sure this isn't an investor-driven bubble. We got to build them. We got to build them. We got to build them. Why? Because, well, I put a lot of money on the line and I won't get any of it back if you don't build them. And then we build them all, and then 10 years from now, we're like, wow, we only needed 30% of those data centers. I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure. I'm saying there is a significant possibility that it hasn't been ruled out. So that's where I'm at on data centers in general. But again, I don't think we should ban them. I think that's a reactionary response that we should avoid for the time being. Maybe one day we find out more. But anyway, this is the final story on data centers for the show today, I promise. Unless something happens breaking news-wise between now and the 6 o'clock. The final story over the weekend, in between the news of the governor's executive orders and this morning news of Senate President Stuart Adams' desperate letter to say I've seen the light on transparency and scope of this project that I was previously totally okay with for 3 months. We had this. The Utah State Auditor's Office says that a hotline that they have set up for whistleblowers, and Utah, by the way, does have whistleblower protection laws in place, meaning you can come forward and blow the whistle, tell on an employer, even if that's the state, and receive protections, meaning that you won't be outed necessarily. In some situations, you do have to be outed, but the legal protections against losing your job for being a whistleblower, in some cases, it's complicated. But we do have some protections. But that said, the state auditor's office says that whistleblower phones are, quote, blowing up in Utah's state auditor's office after that MIDA data center vote on May 4th. And so now there are discussions about whether or not the state auditor maybe needs more authority over the Senate President Stuart Adams chaired Military Installation Development Authority, MIDA. So right now, the state auditor's office can only review financial statements, as it does for most state agencies. But the state auditor's office is not actually charged or authorized to audit MIDA, as the auditor's office can do with any other state board Well, actually, that's not true. They also can't. The state auditor also can't independently audit the Utah retirement systems, URS, as kind of an untouchable organization here in Utah because it's a quasi-government entity. It's a government-backed entity that even their hiring must be overseen by the state. But at the same time, they're a private company managing private investments for Utah's public workers, school teachers, police officers, things like that, to get the most for their retirement, basically. So URS is considered untouchable. No one wants to turn it into a political football. In fact, one year there was a transparency bill run by then State Senator Deidre Henderson, who went on, of course, to become lieutenant governor, serves as lieutenant governor now under Governor Cox. She ran a bill that said, the public has a right to know how much money is going into administrative salaries at URS. And a legislative committee in the House killed that bill quicker than I've seen any other bill die. So there are some state agencies that are considered a bit untouchable, but no one knows why MIDA became one of those. It's basically this board that's supposed to fast-track development that has some sort of military tie-in, which I still think we're playing kind of loose with that with this AI data center and Box Elder proposal, but that's an argument for another day. Utah State Auditor Tina Cannon's office said all they can do is review financial statements, unlike what they can do with many other boards. She said in an interview with the Salt Lake Tribune over the weekend, I would call this blowing up of phones. She said that it leads to an overreaching question for her about the transparency of MEDA. MEDA was established, again, as this economic development board with some state leaders on it, others from industry on it, and it's a large board. And some examples of things they've done before. MEDA is involved with this 6,000-acre project at the Deer Valley Ski Resort called East Village, which will create a lot of jobs, but also a lot of housing. And the military tie-in is that the military does training sometimes there. And when they're doing that training, the military would stay at this East Village, this new resort in the East Village. But obviously, someone's going to privately run this, make a lot of money off of it too. So the auditor is saying because of that, this board should probably be regularly audited. And because of the calls that her office is getting, she said, this is particularly interesting to me that this one particular entity resulted in so many whistleblower calls. And so the state auditor is asking questions at this point. As to whether any of the whistleblower complaints were credible, she says that's not something she can say at this point. Obviously, they've been passed on to the proper authorities, some that fall within her office for auditing, others that fall within the purview of something the legislature might review, or even law enforcement, though she said none of the calls went there towards law enforcement. No crimes committed were accused in the whistleblowing, but there were whistleblowing calls that at least questioned again and again the chronology and the transparency of all this. She says it's her office's job to pass them on to the relevant bodies or to review them for veracity themselves, and they're in that process. But the fact that they got this many calls, that the public cares this much, is paying this much attention, she said that the state's auditor's office, it may be a positive. She said it will not answer every question for every person on a project of this size, but it would be a level of transparency that might make people feel a little better if there were authority within the state auditor's office to audit the military installation board. So that would include, auditing the breakdown, MIDA's legal authority. It wouldn't just be, checkbook auditing. It would be that, but they could also audit legal authority processes, who's making decisions, any public-private partnership capabilities that MIDA has, in contrast with state law. And then the auditor would basically offer recommendations to the legislature on ways to change the board, including the possibility of centralized access to all of their documents for any proposed project, other than, of course, appropriate redactions for personal safety and privacy or company secrets, and visualize this data along with their financial statements, might go a long way to increasing the public's confidence in a board that at this point is associated with the opposite, the auditor said, a lack of transparency. So that was again over the weekend. We'll see where that goes, but hats off to the state auditor for sticking her neck out. This could get her in trouble with the legislature, with the Senate president. And they've already had a rocky relationship since she was elected and started serving 15 months ago. But she's right. I think regular audit and a better understanding of how this board works and how the decisions are being made will go a long way to making the public feel better now that we're all aware this board even exists. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
This summer, experience clear vision without the daily hassle of glasses or contacts. Whether you're on the trail, at the lake, or just enjoying time outside, LASIK can simplify how you see the world. This is Dr. Karen at Northern Utah Eye Center. We use advanced technology and a personalized approach to help each patient achieve their best possible vision. If you've been thinking about LASIK, now is the time to see if you're a candidate. Call or text 435-752-2020 to schedule your consultation.
You're gonna love what you see.
When you need tires, don't ask your cousin or that guy on Facebook. Go to the pros. Discount Tire in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. They've got the brands you trust, plus brands to save you money, like Nexen, Summit, Cascade, and more. And a team that's fair, honest, and won't make your wallet cry. Summer road trips are coming fast, and bald tires plus hot asphalt equal a bad day. So get your car some fresh new shoes and keep the family rolling safe. Discount Tire. Online at webtires.net.
So much more than a tire store.
I'm married with 2 kids.
I'm a veteran. I own my own business.
I'm a retired school teacher, and I've had thoughts of suicide.
But, thankfully,
my granddaughter made a point of checking in on me.
Spencer noticed when I was distancing myself.
One of my buddies, he was worried about me.
Having someone
when I wasn't myself.
When I need it most.
Help me live on.
Live on.
Live on.
Connection can prevent suicide. Learn more at liveonutah.org.
This is attorney Jace Allen. At the Allies Law Firm, we know most clients care about one thing, achieving the best possible outcome. Not how many hours their lawyers billed, not confusing invoices, a clear strategy, and strong representation. That's why many of our estate planning, probate, and divorce services are offered with transparent, flat fees, so you know what to expect from the start. Whether you're protecting your family, navigating probate, or facing a difficult divorce, we are your allies. The Allies Law Firm. We plan, we fight, you win.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the Getaway Guru. Morris Columbus Travel and Delta Vacations have partnered to give you the best sun and fun deals on the planet. Experience the local attractions of Mexico or just soak up the sun by the pool. After all, sometimes the best vacation is having nothing to do and all day to do it. Give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away. Morris Columbus.
Okay, that's enough AI data center talk for this one show, but I'm sure we'll be getting back to it soon. Coming up in hour 2, the Robinson defense in the trial over for the alleged assassin of conservative commentator and activist Charlie Kirk. The defense, his attorneys, Robinson's attorneys, say prosecutors have violated a gag order by giving an interview to TMZ and USA Today. We'll talk about what this means or could mean and what a judge had to say about it today, coming up in hour 2. Also, a study showing that pigeons might navigate via iron in certain cells in their liver, literally translating to a gut instinct of where north is and where south is. But even more interesting, researchers believe this is something that they could actually replicate in humans. And they've already got people signing up for the trial. Can you imagine this? A compass that could also maybe connect via Elon Musk's Neuralink to GPS maps, and you're just feeling it? I just feel like I should turn left here. I don't know. I think this is pretty cool, but it's, the research itself, how they conducted it without harming a single bird. We'll talk about it all, as well as potential fruit famine here in Utah, coming up in hour 2 of today's show here on KVNU Logan.